let's talk about how to lore win. The most important part of your pre-release or draft experience in Lorwyn is understanding when you need to break Kindred, which is going to sound a little bit weird because this is a Kindred set. And some Kindreds are very, very parasitic, are very, very interested in only being paired with only creature types of their creature type. But a lot of the best decks, and by best decks, I mean decks that I won any games with during early access, or decks that just pounded the absolute hell out of Z and I, were ones that were flexing out of their Kindred for very good pickups in other categories. So the first thing we're gonna talk about, what Kindreds allow you to be flexible? What Kindreds allow you to build a good thruple? Down at the incredibly racist end, right now it looks like Elk is saying that, so I'm just gonna shrinky-dink them for a moment.
I am the most racist creature ever.
Yes, you are, buddy. Now get down in the corner. It's Kithkin. There are a couple. There is one Kithkin in particular we'll talk about later that you can just throw into any green deck, but Kithkin far and away both have a lot of effects that are like, I do something for a different Kithkin, and their game plan is much more like, we have to get wide and overrun you with tokens, and if we don't do that, we are f***ed. After that, next most racist is goblins. They also care a lot about like goblin-based effects. After that, it is merfolk. They care a lot about other merfolk effects, but they do have specifically fairies that want to pair well with them all the time. After that, it's elves. Elves are somehow the second least racist kindred in the set. You can still build a very good deck if it is just straight nothing but elves, but they have some of the best cards that can just flex into their colors and not really care that you're not with elves. Now they have plenty of other cards that are like, hey, you need 10 elves in your deck before I am even worth a god thing, but they also have some very good commons and very good uncommons that you can just play if you have green. And then the least racist, elementals, presumably because they have no understanding of race or species. Elementals almost exclusively just care that you are casting expensive spells. So if you get fixing, you can do an elementals deck no matter what. So let's talk about which of these is the most powerful kindred. That's the rare and the mythic.
The rares and mythic, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, play them.
And Elk, you've pointed out the rares and mythics are not especially pushed overall, right? Like it's not like the rares and mythic rares are just the craziest nuclear bombs ever.
Yeah, it's a lot more like all the commons and uncommons are a lot more dog shit. There's a bigger gulf.
Yeah.
Even though the goalpost wasn't moved up at the top end, it has been moved at the bottom.
Which is interesting because there's so much synergy going on, but if you take away the synergy, all the individual commons or uncommons are like minorly doo-doo caca. And so what's happening is your commons and uncommons are gonna wage a ground war like they are the Spartans from the movie 300. And then every rare and mythic rare is a nuclear bomb. It is just a bunch of shirtless dudes fighting with spears and swords, and then an ICBM hits the field the moment somebody plays a rare. So most of your deck is going to be spent trying to live long enough to draw your rare, trying to play your rare, and trying to recur your rare if you can. And because the rares and mythic rares are so important, so is shitloads. Let's look at some examples of good rares and mythic rares, and the only bad one in the set. You want to tell us about Moonsong Aria and how you should never ever play it?
Moonsong Aria is one of the worst limited cards on Earth. It's 1 black, do nothing. Your opponent tutors.
Yeah, I forgot. Your opponent goes first on it too. 1 black. Get whatever you want. I pass. Have fun. This is one of the like most commander cards to ever commander. And so if you see it, pack one, pick one. If you see it in your pre-release pack, I'm sorry you lost.
Sell it as soon as possible. The prices are going to be high for like the first couple weeks for this card.
Yeah.
And then it's going to tank. So, I mean, hopefully make entry back if you open 3 of them.
So other than Mornsog Aria, pretty much every rare is like Clifford the Unbeatable Motherfucker or is some type of crazy good value engine. Every kindred has some crazy value engine rare, and then stuff like Moonshadow, which is the 1 black mythic rare. Like the mythic rares all are meant to make your skull explode the moment you read their text box. You are looking at a 1 mana 7/7, and they curtail it because it comes in with 6 -1/-1 counters, and then you have to do a thing to get them off. Everything in this fucking set takes counters off this thing. So So it becomes a 1-mana 7/7 with Menace. So much of the set is blighting that any creature that can take counters off itself is crazy good. So you have to, because all of these rares are just, I'm gonna walk in and I'm gonna fucking kill you immediately, you have to pack a shitload of removal. And that's a standard limited thing. You always want to be playing removal. You never want to be caught without it, more so than normal. If you are caught without removal, or if you are using your removal on your opponent's commons and uncommons, you have lost that game. I promise you.
Yeah, removal is always good. Always good and limited. In formats, though, where the rares are so utterly important, where they can just take over a game, your common being able to answer their mythic is so vital. Like, it is how you will win.
Yeah, I stuck a Bitterbloom Bearer, which is a mythic rare that is Bitter Blossom on a creature, and somebody just spent an instant speed common interaction spell, and I felt like the evil rich guy at the end of every movie where he's proven wrong and like the orphans beat me to death. That happened to me multiple times. Well, Z let me play early access with them, and you have to be the bloodthirsty orphan. You cannot be the rich. Like, you want to be both. You want to be the rich man with an army of bloodthirsty orphans, but if you ever have a choice between like just an okay thing and even removal you don't think is that great, take the not great removal. It's always sick. Next, Elk, why is Pelt Collector a good card?
So Pelt Collector is an old creature from Guilds of Ravnica. Old, I know. Whenever another creature you control enters or dies, if that creature's power was greater than Pelt Collector's, you put a counter on it. If it has 3 more counters on it, it has trample. Pelt Collector is a grower. Growers are stupid strong, and everything in this set is effectively a Pelt Collector. Except they do it in reverse. They have -1/-1 counters, so you can take them off. So they grow in a different way, but they still grow.
And because we are in such a removal-heavy environment, all of your games are going the distance. Listen to me. I know you, John Goblin. I know you think you're going to be able to curve out and kill people on turn 5. Maybe you can. 90% of games, if both people have decks that are at all capable, they are going to like turn 15. Your pre-release games are going to time. And so any creature that is an above rate creature that is balanced by having -1/-1 counters on it, if it has a way to get those counters off themselves, that investment will pay off. Picking any of these is crazy good. The giants and the tree folk do a lot of them, but every Kindred has some way to do this. A lot of the games that were getting lost in early access were getting lost because people had on-rate creatures. The decks that were winning were the ones that had creatures that grew somehow or cheated their power toughness somehow, because the games almost always went long enough for you to cheat the power toughness. So if you see Burden Stoneback, Hovel Hurler, or Brambleback Brute, if they're in your colors, it is almost always worth considering not taking something in your Kindred to take them instead. And then if you see the one in your Kindred, like Creekwood Safe Right is the elf version, if you see the one in your Kindred, absolutely take that. But if you see like if you see a B+ creature in your Kindred, or you see one of these motherfuckers, take one of these motherfuckers. It is insane. There's also a couple infinite combos available in the set. The most prolific one is using the Behold mechanic. If you play a rare, like the Elf Champions of the Perfect, which is a card draw engine on a 6/6 body, and then you behold a second rare, your opponent will deterministically have to just shake your hand because they are totally fucked. Very powerful.
Champions of the Perfect. Here's more can't if it dies.
Yep. Champions of the Perfect. I show you another mythic rare from my hand. Game over every time. Yeah, it's called the Read 'em and Weep. Thank you, Dirty.
Yeah, you are broke. You may concede.
Let's talk about good cards that will just kill you. We kind of left this one relatively empty. I have a trauma response to Bree of Clan Stoutarm. I want to hold this one up as like the greatest example of it's a Kindred set, but Kindred doesn't matter because sometimes you just get fucked. 4 mana 4/4 gives a creature flying and lifelink. And at the beginning of your end step, if you gained life, exile cards until you hit a non-land, and then you can free cast it if the mana value is less than or equal to the life you gained, otherwise get it to hand. That is the type of rare that is just like blows the game open. Doesn't matter if you're playing Merfolk and you decided to do Jeskai Merfolk to play Bree. Doesn't matter if you're in Selesnya Kithkin and you flexed Naya for Bree. Somebody beat us playing a terrible hodgepodge of white Kithkin and white Merfolk, and then they played this. immediately took over the game and won because we did not have removal. And this is how most of the rares work. They are not, I play this, I kill you on the swing. It is I play this and I extract an impossibly high amount of value. And so that's what you need removal for, is if you can't remove it in a turn cycle or two, they will have accrued so many more cards or so many more bodies that you will then lose the ground war. Yeah, tell us about Evolving Wilds.
You could tap this and sack and get any basic land you want. So, Imagine the Gathering, being able to cast your spells is really important. One of the strongest things you can be doing is like 5-color elementals, but you need to be able to have mana.
You are a goddamn liar.
No, here's the thing. Going 5 colors, I think, is totally possible. Not possible in this set. I think it's impossible unless you have God fixing. But if you open like 3 shock lands, some Evolving Wilds.
We're gonna get into specific archetypes. It is possible to God fix this set. I don't think God fixing comes from shocks, actually. I think all of your God fixing.
It's a rare slot.
Yeah. There's a lot of common level, uncommon fixing that you can get away with, but you do have to like really do your fucking homework. Please, if you're listening, do not try to throw together some 4-color elemental deck if you do not get a ton of the basic land searches, if you do not get a ton of the color filterers, if you do not take at least 1 or 2 Evolving Wilds. My God. And I'm gonna grab some commons that will just fucking murder you. Safe Right Cavalry, a 4-mana 4/4 that cannot be double blocked and can buff itself for another elf. This is one of those elves I talked about that can actually flex outside of Kindred, because ultimately it's just a green card that can pump itself if you don't have other elves. But oh my God, does being unable to be blocked by more than 1 creature hurt this set? So much of the set is decided by removal and combat tricks. Oh my gosh, showing a rare. Don't even show me a rare. I hate this thing. I lost one of the last games of the day to this motherfucker. I hate it.
I was about to say, this looks like one of the worst fucking cards to play against on Earth.
It is the Kithkin special for sure. A Kithkin deck dropped this over the top, and I was just like, this is impossible. So Safe Right Cavalry, absolutely crazy. Another crazy uncommon that will just kill you and can go into any deck no matter what Kindred you are. Moon Vigil Adherence. Innately has trample, grows based on the creatures you've cast and any creatures you have in your graveyard. And again, this shit is on Russian army strats. Bodies, bodies, bodies. I got to play this at one point as a 15/15. I've seen opponents play it anywhere from like a 6/6 to a 10/10. It is disgusting.
Not like win the game by itself, but I do really like it when my fucking 1-drop like just utterly mogs your 2-drop. We have Spell Snare in this set. We have Mud Button Curse Tosser. Just all these like 1-mana plays that are like, oh, your 2-mana play was really cute, dude.
Here is another good example of flexible elemental that can just go in everything. So here are the 2 big breakpoints. If you want to live, you need to have something with 3 toughness or 3 power. A lot of things in this set were swinging. If you were swinging early, you were tending to swing with something that either had 2 power or had 3 toughness. So like a 3/3 could both block and kill stuff. But if you get a 1/3, you can just block fine. Or if you get like a 3/2, you can trade okay. At 4 and above, you start to be very confident. At 5 and above, you are a god among men. This 6-mana 6/5 is Kratos, God of War, compared to most of the creatures that you are going to be sticking. And so things like this, especially when they have basic land cycling, looking for 5 or more toughness and then looking for 5 or more power is very, very huge when it comes to trying to win the ground war when neither of you have your rare or mythic rare. Because your rare and mythic rare will blow the game open, but it's very possible to, if you just don't put up walls early, to get killed with hammers before you even find the rare. Oh yeah, this was a specific point I wanted to raise. There is a extremely weird dynamic here where even though you have to put up walls early, because the games go so long, you can actually play commander-ass value engines and have them pay off. Now, I only got to play with this myself in 1 game, but it was huge in the 1 game I got to play it in. So if you have you cannot draft many things like this, but you will be helped very, very much if you have a way to work through your deck faster. And so getting something that can repeatedly surveil, getting something that can repeatedly draw and discard, getting something like Gathering Stone, if you are deep into a Kindred, will do way better than you think. As long as you have 2-drops and 3-drops to put up that early 3 toughness so that the Kithkin player doesn't just mog you instantly. Horton, here's a bitch. This 5/6, I think, was played by every single deck that has white, and it was always good. Does not matter what your Kindred is, does not matter what your overall strategy is, does not matter how deep you are into Kindred. This is like a turn 4, 5/6 with Vigilance.
Welcome back, venerated Loxodon.
Welcome back. And again, that 5 power 6 toughness breakpoint is like just over the line of being practically invincible. We can move on from here to terrible dog shit you should always pass. Elk, do you want
Crib Swap?
Yeah, tell me about Crib Swap and why stealing babies is bad.
So Crib Swap, well, stealing babies is badass, but doing it in this manner, Crib Swap, you exile their creature. Great, love that line of text. It's a Kindred instant. You can reveal it to shit, like you can behold it.
Dog.
All right, but giving them a 1/1 shape changer is a nightmare because everything on this says if you control a creature of this type, you get a hand job. And what that translates to is you are giving them a global hand job receiver. Like you are giving them an O positive creature. You know, everything works with this thing.
Yeah, and another really important thing, bodies. I know that's like limited standby. I play and I lose in a lot of limited sets, more so than normal. You always have to be sticking or removing a creature. If you are not doing that and it does not draw you additional creature cards to stick and play, you are fucked. And so even though Crib Swap is tempting because you're like, oh, I can get rid of their mythic rare, they go net neutral on creatures, which tends to be fucking awful. What about Lasting Tarfire? Stinky, awful dog shit you should pass every single time. It does not give you a body. It does not reduce their bodies. You will get hit in the chest with hammers. Do you concur, Elk, or do you think Lasting Tarfire has potential?
It would need to be a really lengthy matchup.
There's games that do go long enough that seem tempting. There's not many games that go long enough and you would rather have this than have their creature. Kind of similarly, Goat Nap is dog shit. There is not very many turns where you can end it in one fell swoop, unless your one fell swoop is like giving everything flying. And because so many of the rares are value engines, taking them for a turn doesn't let you kill them.
Darkness Descend to me, everything has a huge ass in this set, it looks like. So my 2 -1/-1 counters on everything is like kind of mid. And then here's the thing, there's a lot of creatures that your opponents can have that just remove counters from themselves for value.
So you're feeding, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
The dream for Goat Nap is my opponent has played Moon Vigil Adherence. That is the prime Goat Nap target, because then you get a big trampler, you try to kill them with it that turn. Pretty much everything else is like, you are going to extract the value from this card over 3 to 4 turns, and getting it for 1 is not good enough, especially if you have to spend 3 mana to do it.
Well, actually, I do want to offer some pushback here, Mauled. The best target isn't the giant trampler. It's the giant trampler that they have Omni Changeling, because now it's a goat, so you get +3/+0 because you've goat now.
Oh my god. But what if you used it on Omni Changeling, which is a really cool shapeshifter card that's a little bit bigger than the card you put in there, because this could enter as a goat, and then it would get the +3/+0 benefit from Goat Nap too. That would be massive. So there's the good and the bad, and we're gonna spend a few minutes talking about what mindset do you have to be in for each of your creature types, and what types of cards are going to actually like underpin the strategy working. For Kithkin, you are the aggro deck. I know people think it's going to be goblins. Maybe that's true. I never saw it work for goblins. I never saw goblins hit some like crazy curve out and just hit people with hammers, win turn 5. I saw Kithkin do it over and over and over again, and they did it because of this fucking dipshit. evil common. This evil common that I hate. 3/3 trample, and whenever another creature you control enters, it gets +1/+0 until end of turn. So functionally, this was like, I play a garbage creature turn 1, turn 2. I play this, I play another one of these, and then I hit you with a 4/3 trampler every single turn until you die. So if you want to do Kithkin and you don't get these and you don't have a way to push damage early, you are probably in trouble unless you have some sort of insane late game play. These two, great, we're in the late game. We can still win.
Oh, Figure of Fable's so badass. I love Hex Drinkers.
I love Fable. All right, next. You know them. You love them. Elementals. You must have a donk. You must have that early donk we talked about, because all of the shit you care about doing is casting spells that cost 4 or more mana. And so if you cannot put up a wall against the ravages of the Kithkin, you're screwed. You're screwed.
All I'm saying is, like, when you have your like 2/4 elemental kicking around, and they swing with their 3/3 Kithkin, you just know they're gonna blossoming defense you and ruin your life.
And then you die and it's all over for you. That is a good point. I missed this while we were talking about it. I'm gonna go back to the removal slide for this. This set is the closest I have ever seen a combat trick act to just straight up removal. There's obviously still a difference. However, the common, uncommon Spartans from 300 Ground War is happening the entire time you're playing these long ass games. And so there's a lot of attacking, there's a lot of blocking. If you can give something +2/+2, if you can give it first strike, if you can give it indestructible for a turn, you will kill an opponent's creature for it nearly every time. So if you can't get removal in a pack, but you can get a combat trick, combat tricks are running very close to par with removal from what I've seen so far. And then if you're playing elementals and you get combat trick, you're dead. You are immediately dead in the water and you can do nothing. The other thing you need for elementals is fixing, which you can get, but your big fixers are this dumbass tree folk, this dumbass ramp card, and this little idiot.
1/3, yeah, the fucking moron.
This is your god wall. This is your Great Wall of China. If you are an elementals deck, you play this guy, you have fogged for 3 turns of the game. I swear to God, it is stupendous how much damage you can prevent with a 2-mana 1/3. That is also a mana filterer, that is also a way to surveil 1. So those are like the big 3 commons that you have to have access to probably multiple copies of if you want a 5-color elementals deck to come together. Elementals is also the face of the Is It limited archetype. So you don't need these if you are just going red-blue elementals. But if you want to try to do a lot of vivid stuff, which is the thing that counts colors among permanents, if you want to try to do a 4-color or 5-color pile, you gotta show me one of these 3 cards or multiple copies of one of these 3 cards, or you're gonna fucking perish. Tree folk, don't fucking do it. Elk, why would you do tree folk if you did it?
I didn't read. I don't know what these cards do, Mauled. I just looked at the art.
They're just hard as fuck. True and real. You will be tempted, chat room, because there is a legendary Doran. You do have permission from me to try to make legendary Doran work. What you need to understand is you are hard based around a 3-color guy. You have to show me the fixing, and you have to care a lot about power toughness difference. The toughness does not have to be greater. Don't get tricked. As long as it is offset, like a 3/2 will benefit from this. A 2/4 will benefit from this. A 5/6 will benefit from this, but so will a 6/5. So if you draft Doran, or if Doran's in your pre-release packs and you want to play him, you can take as few even power toughness things as you can, and then the difficulty you get into is you lose access to some of the good giants like Bird and Stoneback. You still get Hovel Hurler, but a lot of these other guys that like are the above rate creatures, those tend to have balanced stats, so you kind of get fucked there. So it's a little bit precocious. This is also not an archetype. There are 7 tree folk in the fucking set. You can't.
Tree folk is not a promoted set archetype.
Yeah, this is they fill in the blanks with other creature types. So if you see good tree folk for your colors, fill in your goblins, your elves, your Kithkin, whatever. Do not see like 3 tree folk in pack 1 and be like, I'm doing a tree folk deck. I promise you are not.
Speaking of not doing a deck built around a certain creature type, giants.
Big giants, big ladies. I know you want to. That giant's pretty good though, right? 2/5 double strike. Other giants have double strike. That's the type of shit that'll trick a man into a Kindred deck.
Other giants have double strike. That sounds really good. Type giant, set ECL. What other giants?
What other giants? Pray tell.
What other?
And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them are at rare or mythic rare. So there are 6 giants in the set that you have any chance of seeing. Now, giants are another extremely fucking good fill-in. If you ever see a giant that is in your colors, you can probably flex Kindred to take it, because all of the giants are very good. I fucking hate this guy. I got hit with this guy. Z and I got hit with this guy 3 fucking times in early access. This is a mythic rare. I don't know what's going on with the packs on Arena. I don't know if it's going to be the same for your pre-release. They have put so many mythic rares in these fucking packs. Like we saw a mythic rare like every other game.
Oh my goodness.
I wanted to scream. Yeah, seven mana, fuck your board forever. What about changelings? The changelings are all pretty garbage. They are like, the only changeling I would ever consider taking is the flash one, because then you can effectively use it as a combat trick. Otherwise, if you see a changeling in a pack and you're like, oh, the changeling, like if you ever think the changeling is a good pick here, you are probably wrong. There is probably a piece of removal, a combat trick, or a different creature in your Kindred that's just better. Grave Shifter is good. Yeah, that's also good. That's also a good removal spell. Yeah. Nasty removal spell. Grave Shifter. Recursion, very good. Your deck is going to revolve mostly around rares and mythic rares, or maybe like one particularly good uncommon. They are going to get removed. I guarantee it. Being able to get them back, super hot. And the rest of your deck is not going to be able to keep up with them or without them. Moving on to Merfolk, all I want to do is tap that ass. The biggest struggle you are going to face in a Merfolk deck is, depending on how many flyers you got, you are going to be highly motivated to swing Merfolk who are dog shit at fighting. Let me bring up an example of this one. And you're gonna be like, oh my god, but not me, Maud. I'm gonna get all the lords. I'm gonna get all the card draw and all the interaction. There is going to come a time where you're like, fuck, I really want to swing Wanderbind Preacher, and they have a 2/3, and my creature's fucking dead. And this is where you have to bring protection. You must wrap up all of your merfolk in shitty little combat tricks. And there are a couple that are just good flyers, right? That are totally fine. But there's also a couple that are like Wanderbind Preacher, like the Pestered Wellguard, where you want to be able to tap this because you get a fairy. But if you tap it in combat, a 4-mana 3/2 is dead instantly. And so Convoke will save you a lot. There's a lot of blue and white Convoke spells as well, but really probably the Kindred that needs interaction the most. If you do not have it, you are proverbially dead in the water.
The Convoke's really great at tapping down your merfolk. The problem is that it also doesn't kill your opponent's thing, which is why I'm definitely in the camp that the combat tricks are a better way of tapping your merfolk than
I agree.
Than relying on Convoke all game. You'll end up in a goblin situation where you're kind of just staring at your opponent.
And if your payoffs are not very, very good, even that Convoking or that Springleaf Drumming, right? Like everyone's like, oh hell yeah, Springleaf Drum, I get to tap him down. That doesn't kill people, and you have to kill people. So if you have Springleaf Drum because you have like a card draw synergy on board and it's drawing you into your rare or mythic rare, go off. If you are like, oh hell yeah, I gained 2 life without having to risk my 2/2, you are fucked. I promise 100%. You would every time much rather go, or even for Pestered Wellguard to get the 1/1, every time you would rather go play them, pass, get to my next turn, swing them, combat trick. Every time. Also an aside where merfolk pair very well with fairies, but it depends on the type of merfolk deck you end up doing. If you do combat trick merfolk, you don't want fairies, because fairies reward you for casting spells on your opponent's turn. And if you're doing combat trick merfolk, you're probably swinging out and tapping mana on your turn. So if you get a merfolk deck that has a ton of like just straight up removal and then you get fairies, then you can combine them and you can get this fucked up triforce of like, I play on your turn, my fairies give me card selection, I draw my good merfolk, the good merfolk kills you. But if you're doing combat tricks, don't pair it with fairies. It's going to be really, really awkward timing wise. Alex, tell me about goblins.
Yo. Goblin players, you have a disease.
And that disease is called stupidity.
The disease is called going 1 and 2 at F and M.
Yes, it is.
So you're blighting all your shit. You're putting -1/-1 counters everywhere. And then you're like killing some goblins, pinging them with your life drain goblin, whatever. You are never getting through. No goblin in this set has evasion. And you can tell this because the best goblin in this set is Brambleback Brute.
Yeah. If you want to do a goblin deck because you're a goblin player, much like how the Vivid plan has to get the fixing, you have to show me giants that give evasion. If you do not show me giants that give you evasion, your goblin deck is probably screwed. As Elk pointed out, they don't have any way of guaranteeing combat damage. The way they guarantee damage is with aristocrats benefits. So what happens to goblins is you get stuck in the staring contest. You either don't have your aristocrats piece, or your aristocrats piece is the only thing they have to kill, and then you're screwed. You are even more reliant on your like one piece of flex tape tying the whole deck together than all the other kindreds. Don't do it unless you have 2 copies of Brambleback Brute. Then you probably win every game. Fairies.
We have another fake creature type.
Fake and made up. Yeah, these guys suck. They are they are a maybe pairing with Merfolk. Again, if you're playing with a lot of interaction. I think this is another one where there are 11 in the set, maybe even fewer. Some of them look 11 in the set, yeah. Some of them look very dope. Some of them are going to trick you. That's okay. And some of them can fit in with other creature types, like Nightmare Sower. If you're in any deck with black that's running interaction, potentially getting able to double up your removal spells or blight your own stuff for value, that's great. Do not you dare try to like mainline fairies. And if you are going heavy into a particular kindred, limit how many fairies you splash in. They are really not that good.
All right, I want to go into our regular PSA here, which is sealed players. The rares and mythics matter a lot in this set, as has already been established. Put rares and mythics in your deck, of course. Sealed players, even more so. Forget everything that was just mentioned. Run the rares and mythic rares in your deck. Just like try to fit as many as possible.
So for everybody going to their pre-release after you watch this video, even though Z and I were doing it for draft, we as a joke did a couple where we were like, we are going to hard pivot our deck every time we get past a rare or mythic rare, and those were some of our best records of the day. It's tough out there for an uncommon.
Yeah, you run removal to remove their bombs, and you run bombs yourself, and then you just win. That's how you do it. Way less about synergy.
If you have absolutely no plan, then you can lean on Kindred as like a backbone, but you're going to be way better off just being like, where are the individual crazy motherfuckers who don't care about Kindred and will like draw me cards to get to my rare? Like, let me show you. I saw this cast in 12 matches yesterday and never by a Kithkin player. Not one time. It was always by somebody who was just in green and your creature being able to replace itself because of the aforementioned wall of bodies army strategy. So good. So if you are in doubt, rares, mythic rares, ways to surveil or draw cards, and then just shoot a bunch of guns. Some of you will be tempted to run the Eclipsed cycle anyway, just because they are hybrid, which means it's easier to fix their colors, and you're gonna look at them and go like, oh, but they can get lands too. I promise. If you are not fully committed to the Kindred that is written on them, they are going to fuck you.
Do we want to move on to Commander now?
Yes, I think that's the end of the draft stuff.